Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. This lecture is actually for Windows users only, and we're basically just going to teach you how to use Putty and Putty Keygen, and you need to use Putty in order to SSH into your EC2 instance, and you need Putty Keygen in order to convert your PEM file. This is the key pair file that's generated when you first create an EC2 instance, and it's generated in a .pem format, but Putty doesn't support PEM files. Putty needs its own PPK files. So basically, Putty Keygen turns PEM files into PPK files. So in order to do this lab, you need to open up your browser. Okay, so here we are in our browser. I'm on Google, and I'm just going to type in Putty. And there we go. We've got the Putty download page, and it's chiark.greenend.org.uk. So just click on that. And then basically, you just want to save the putty.exe. And you want to save the puttygen.exe, so the top and the bottom link. Once you've done that, it will finish downloading. You might just want to copy this across to your desktop, just because you will be using this a lot throughout the course. So if I just minimize everything and refresh my desktop, there we go, we can see Putty. So Putty is always the computer-to-computer icons. This is what you're going to use when you're SSHing. And then PuttyGen is always the key generator, so it's got a computer-to-key icon. So the next thing we want to do is just go ahead to the AWS Management Console. We want to launch an instance. So I'm going to go in and launch an EC2 instance. I'm going to use the Amazon Linux AMI. I'm going to leave everything else as default because I just want to show you how to connect into this instance. I'm just going to call this Putty as my instance, and then go ahead and hit next. I'm going to create a new security group. I'm just going to leave it open to the world. At the moment it's Launch Wizard 1. Yours might look like Launch Wizard 2. But just leave SSH open to the world. It is a security risk. You could lock it down to your IP address, but again, this is just for demo purposes only. I go ahead and hit launch. Now we want to create a new key, so we'll call this my Putty key, and we're going to download this key pair. Now you'll see here it says it's being downloaded as a .pem file, and in order for us to be able to use this with Putty, we need to convert it to a PPK file, and that's where Putty Keygen comes in. So if we minimize and go back to our desktop and we open up PuttyGen, we'll be able to do that. First, I'm just going to kick off this instance though, so I'm going to go ahead and hit launch. Okay, so that is now launching. So while that's going on, again, I'm going to go back into Putty Keygen. I'm just going to open it up. Now you might get this message saying it's protected your PC. Just click more info and hit run anyway. And so here we go, we've got PuttyGen. So the first thing we need to do is go and load our key. So go ahead and hit load. Now this confuses a lot of people straight away because they can't see their key. That's because it's looking for a PPK file, but we saved it as a PEM file. So what we want to do is just hit all files down here and then open up myputty.pem. And there we go, it says it successfully imported it. To use this key with Putty, you need to use the save private key command to save it in Putty's own format. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Hit save private key. This is asking about a passphrase if you want to protect it. What you can do is passphrase is just basically a password, so you need a password in order to open up this key. It's just an extra level of protection. Most people, for the purposes of this course, you don't need to. If you're going to do this in production, maybe you do want one. So I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and then what we're going to do, I'm just going to change this to all files. I'm going to click on here so it maintains the same file name, but then instead of saving it as a .pem, I'm going to save it as a .ppk. Go ahead and hit save, and that is literally it. Now if we go into our downloads directory, we can see a PM file and we can see a PPK file. So the next thing we need to do is open up Putty itself. Here is Putty. It's a very simple interface to use. I'm going to go ahead and look at my EC2 instances, and hopefully it is live now and I will be able to get an IP address. So yeah, here it is, and there's my IP address down here. So I'm going to highlight the IP address and I'm going to right click and copy it. Now if we go back over to our Putty configuration, we can type in here ec2-user and then @ and then the Putty, the IP address, so 52.51.120.70. Now what I can do is also copy and paste this into my saved sessions. We're not going to save it just yet because the last thing we want to do is go over here. So we're going to go into SSH, we're going to go over to auth, and in here we're going to enter where our private key is. So this is the one that we've just generated, myputtykey.ppk. Going to open it up, and now if we go all the way back up to the top to session, we can hit save, and we don't need to do this again. We can basically just go in here, hit load, and then hit open. So let's go ahead and open that. The first thing it's going to ask is about the server's host key. It's not cached in the registry, so you just go ahead and hit yes. And there we go, we've connected into our EC2 instance. Now you can see this is quite small, can be quite hard to read. So let's close this off and just close the session. And then what I'm going to do, again, I'm just going to go back to my desktop and I'm going to open up Putty. Okay, so we'll load up our default settings. Now we can actually change the appearance. We can go in here and change the font size. So you can go over here and hit 20. That's going to change the font. You can change the colors, etc. I'm just going to leave the colors as standard, but I'm going to keep the font as 20. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now when we open it, it's going to be much bigger. So you've got much bigger text. Then we can just go in and run a sudo su, then run a yum update -y. And there you go, it's updating our EC2 instance. So that's it for using Putty, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. If not, feel free to move on to the next lecture. Thank you.